Hello, everyone. So, one of the things that I see on the baseball cards subreddit very often is the question of how do I package my cards when I am shipping them to folks? So, I wanted to spend a little bit of time today showing folks how I package my low end cards for trade. So, I'm going to first run through the way that I will typically package my cards personally, and then I will show you some other options that I have seen other people do that I don't necessarily like or think are the most affordable, but I think is a another option if you would prefer a different way. So, I think the first thing that's important to think about when you are talking about shipping cards is to think about the main thing that you want to do, which is make sure that the card gets there safely. So I think there's two big things you want to focus on. You want to focus on the card not getting bent or creased, and you want to focus on making sure that the corners do not get dinged and the surface doesn't get marred. Because when you've got a letter that's shipped, you take it to the post office, you push it into the box. First thing it does is it falls into the box to the ground. And so there's a couple of things that I think are non-negotiable when you are shipping cards. The first, make sure that your card is always in a penny sleeve, and make sure that it is either in a top loader or one of these semi-rigid sleeves. I will usually do a top loader if it's just a single card. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4 card ship, then I will use one of these because I can get 4 cards into this, throw it into an envelope, and it'll stay under an ounce, so I can ship it for 63 cents or a forever stamp. The other thing that I think is non-negotiable is when you put them in a top loader or you put them into the rigid sleeve, you need to make sure that the card will not come out of the encasement. So, my preference with a top loader is to use a team bag because, for one thing, the team bag, you can take it, you can take the thing off, fold it over, and basically completely encase it so the card will never come out. Even if it gets to the top, it'll just sit there. The other thing I like about team bags is that when you are shipping things in paper, if they are going through a rainy environment, if there's water or anything, it'll protect the card from getting wet. The thing you can do when you've got one of these guys is I will usually just take a strip of blue tape, cut it, seal it right over the top there, and then I'll put a larger team bag that's made for these size. I'll put it into that and then fold it over as well to protect it from any of the elements. All right, so the thing I like to do is I like to take a piece of cardstock. So here's a full sheet. I will usually cut it straight down the middle like this so that I have a piece of cardstock that looks like this. What I then do is fold it into kind of a little bit of a package. Take the card, unfold it, and then we will take 6 pieces of blue tape. Cut 2 small pieces of blue tape. Or cut 6 small pieces of blue tape. Please, when you are shipping, try to use blue tape, blue painter's tape where you can. Do not use Scotch tape. Don't use the clear stuff that comes off the roll that you have at the office. That stuff leaves a gunky residue on everything. It makes it sticky. It's hard to take off. It's just unpleasant for everyone. So do not use that stuff. If you have to, you can use the sort of tan tape, but that also is not ideal. Blue tape is by far the standard. So I will take the card, I place it right here, and then I like to tape it on all 4 sides. A lot of people don't necessarily, I mean, you can probably get away with just taping it on 2 sides. I like 4 just because it provides that little extra bit of protection. Then take the little flap that you have left right here, fold it over, tape that shut. Then take your envelope. I like to use sort of the big business size envelopes rather than something smaller. When I'm doing a lot of orders, I will make all of these packages together, especially if I'm doing it for eBay, and I will write the name of the player right here in Sharpie because let's see, this was Bieber. I'll show you. Write this in Sharpie, take it and face it out on the envelope. And then the last thing I like to do is I take a piece of tape and I tape it right here to make sure that it doesn't move around. So that way, when this gets dropped and moved around, you've got all of this flap of paper that basically can cushion the card if things get thrown around or jostled. And then, so the thing that do when you write it in Sharpie, you can see after you've packaged all of your envelopes what cards are what. And then when you're doing eBay shipments, you usually will print out a little shipping label that's a piece of paper, and I've got a piece of paper right here to show you that you can basically put over the top, and when you tape it in, you can't really even see the words, so it hides that this is a baseball card. So that's how I like to package it for plain white envelopes. The other things that I've seen people do is instead of doing the cardstock, people will take a sheet of plain white paper and they'll just do the straight letter fold like this. And they will then tape the card in the center here, fold it up, put it into the envelope. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like the little bit of rigidness that you get from the cardstock relative to the paper. One thing that you should always kind of note when you are shipping cards out is there is a maximum thickness of 1/4 of an inch on plain white envelopes when you send them. Anything thicker than that won't be able to run through their sensing machines, and they'll reject it or they'll send it back to you. So it's usually a good idea to try and keep it narrow. The one time that I will use the printer paper is when I'm sending like a dozen cards and I'm using 2 of these guys, and I will tape one like this, and then I'll take the other one and tape it over the top like this, and then put the whole thing into the envelope. And so that's a good way to stay under the 3.5 ounce maximum and be able to still ship out a ton of cards. The other option that I like that is actually really, really good if you've got a lot of, if you can find a good deal on thank you cards, is using a thank you card. So basically, this is a piece of cardstock. You just open it up, you tape the card in the side of the thank you card, and then you just throw it into the envelope that it comes with, and basically you've got a card that basically thanks the person for purchasing or trading with you, and then you've got the card protected on the interior. I don't like it as much as well, just because it's usually a much smaller envelope, and I like having that cushion on the side. For larger card orders, look at this, I've got about 36 cards here. When you're shipping a ton of base like this, I don't necessarily put everything in sleeves, but I do make sure that everything gets thrown into a team bag. So this is the same team bag that I had pulled out for the stiff, for the semi-rigid protector. Let's see if I can get all 36 in here. And so I will put all 36, and these will have to get shipped with in a bubble mailer. Oh, come on. There we go. So the bubble mailers that I like to use are these little black ones. You can get them on Amazon. They're specifically made for baseball cards, so they're 3 by 5 inches, so they fit perfectly. They're not great if you've got a really big order or you're shipping a lot of stuff. And so they've got some padding, but I still am concerned about the corners on these cards when they're shipped like this. So I think it's always a pretty good idea to take a piece of cardboard. With these ones specifically, you have to make sure the cardboard fits the size. So I will usually just make sure that the cardboard that I have is just ever so slightly oversized. That way, and then go ahead and cut it out. I'll cut 2 of these so that what I can then do, let's just go ahead and so what I can do after I cut the 2 of them is I will grab my blue tape. Usually, I think it's a good idea to first secure the package of cards to the cardboard. So these ones are going to need quite a bit longer of a tape strip. And another reason I also really like using the team bags is even if you do decide to use, you know, kind of a less ideal tape style, if you get a bunch of sticky crap on the cards on the team bag, then that's not a huge deal. People get more upset when you do that with the top loaders. So by using the team bags, you just kind of avoid all of that. And then so you basically kind of sandwich it here in between the cardboard. Like this. So then that way, if this ever gets kind of dropped, the cards are situated in here and these corners get dinged instead of the card corners. And actually, this will probably show you why these aren't always the best for a big package like this, because you have very limited play right here, and so when you try and protect it like this, you'll notice it doesn't fit for these. So in a package like this, it's probably best for you to use a larger 6x10 mailer or something like that you can get at pretty much every store, because you're not able to package all of these cards and get them into these little black ones. These black ones are great for a few cards, but they're really not the best for giant packages like this. So I hope everybody learned something today, or got some ideas for how they might want to ship their cards. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below, and you are welcome. If you would subscribe and like the video, I would appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later.